Be me. 19-year-old girl working part-time at a coffee shop while taking online classes for graphic design. Meet this guy named Tyler, who comes in every Tuesday and Thursday morning ordering the same caramel macchiato with extra foam. He's got this messy brown hair that looks like he just rolled out of bed, and these green eyes that crinkle when he smiles at my terrible coffee puns. One day he's wearing a shirt from my favorite indie band that literally nobody has heard of except me and like 12 other people on the internet. I compliment the shirt, and we end up talking for 20 minutes about their obscure discography while my manager gives me death stares from across the counter. He asks for my Instagram, and I give it to him with shaky hands because holy crap, this cute guy is actually interested in talking to me outside of coffee transactions. He follows me immediately, and I spend the next 3 hours stalking his profile like a total creep, analyzing every single photo and story highlight. His feed is full of concert photos, hiking pictures with his dog, and aesthetic shots of vinyl records that make him seem deep and artistic in a way that makes my heart do stupid flips. We start DMing back and forth about music, and he sends me playlists with titles like Songs That Sound Like Driving at Night and For When You Need to Feel Something. I'm falling hard and fast like an idiot jumping off a cliff without checking if there's water below, because every message from him makes my entire day worth living. One night we're texting until 3 a.m. about whether reality is objective or if we're all just living in our own subjective interpretations of existence. And I think I'm in love with this philosophical mess of a human. He suggests we should hang out sometime outside of my workplace, and I agree so fast that I don't even play it cool for a single second. We make plans to go to this record store downtown on Saturday, and I spend the entire week planning my outfit, like it's the most important decision of my entire life. Saturday comes, and I show up 15 minutes early because I'm an anxious disaster who can't handle being late to anything ever. We spend 3 hours browsing through vinyl, and he keeps pulling out records, telling me stories about each one, like how his dad played this album on repeat when he was a kid, or how this song was playing during his first heartbreak. I buy a record he recommends even though I don't own a record player, because I want to have a physical reminder of this perfect day that I can hold in my hands. We get food at this tiny ramen place, and he pays for my meal before I can even reach for my wallet, which makes me feel like I'm in some kind of romantic movie. At the end of the day, he hugs me goodbye and says we should definitely do this again soon, and I float home on a cloud of pure happiness and delusion. Text him that night saying I had a great time and thanks for the recommendation and the food. He responds 3 hours later with, "Yeah, it was fun," and a smiley emoji. Okay, cool, he's probably just busy. That's totally normal, and I'm not going to overthink this at all. Next day, I send him a meme about the band we talked about, figuring it's low pressure and friendly. He likes it, but doesn't respond. Okay, maybe he's not a big texter. That's fine. Some people just prefer talking in person. Wait, 2 days before sending another message asking if he's seen the new album announcement from another artist we both like. He responds 6 hours later with, "Oh yeah, I saw that, looks dope." His messages are getting shorter, and I'm starting to feel like I'm pulling teeth, trying to maintain a conversation with someone who seems so interested in person. See him at the coffee shop on Tuesday, and he's normal and friendly, asking about my classes and telling me about his week at his marketing job. We talk for 30 minutes and he mentions this cool art exhibit happening downtown, and I'm thinking, great, he's going to invite me. He doesn't invite me. He just talks about how he's planning to check it out sometime and then leaves with his coffee and a casual "see you later." I'm confused as hell because the vibe in person is completely different from the vibe over text, and I don't know which one is real. Text him later asking if he wants to go to the art exhibit together since we both seemed interested. He doesn't open the message for 2 days. When he finally responds, he says, "Oh man, I actually already went with some friends yesterday, but you should definitely check it out." This is when the waiting really begins because I realize I'm way more invested in whatever this is than he is. I stop texting first to see if he'll reach out and initiate conversation for once in his life. 1 week passes with complete radio silence, and I'm checking my phone every 5 minutes like a paranoid wreck. My roommate Jessica notices and asks what's wrong, and I explain the whole situation while she listens with increasingly concerned expressions. "Girl, he's just not that into you. If he wanted to talk to you, he would," she says with the brutal honesty that only best friends can deliver. I know she's right, but I can't accept it because we had such a good connection in person, and those late-night conversations felt so real and meaningful. Convince myself that he's just going through something or busy with work, or maybe he's scared of commitment, or any of the 1,000 excuses my brain generates to protect my feelings. 2 weeks pass and I see him at the coffee shop again, acting like nothing is weird. He's friendly and chatty and acts like we're good friends catching up after a normal amount of time apart. I play along pretending I'm not dying inside from the mixed signals and the confusion of not knowing where I stand. He mentions he's going to a concert next month for a band we both love, and my heart jumps thinking this is it. This is when he asked me to go with him. Instead he says, yeah, I'm going with my buddy Marcus should be sick, and I want to scream. Text him after his visit saying something casual about how the coffee rush was crazy today, and he responds immediately with a full paragraph about his day. Okay, so he can text when he wants to. He's just choosing not to prioritize talking to me. This pattern continues for months where he's hot and cold, giving me just enough attention to keep me hooked, but never enough to actually move forward into anything real. My friend Jessica keeps telling me to move on and stop wasting my time on someone who clearly doesn't respect my energy. I know she's right, but I've built up this entire fantasy version of Tyler in my head based on those first few perfect interactions, and I can't let it go. Start analyzing every tiny interaction for hidden meanings. Like maybe when he said, "see you later," he meant it romantically, or maybe his delayed texts mean he's nervous around me. My other coworker, Brandon, notices I'm acting weird and asks what's up while we're cleaning espresso machines after close. I explain the whole situation and he laughs saying, "Oh, you're in the waiting phase, that's rough." Apparently this is a common thing where girls wait around for guys who give them breadcrumbs of attention and never commit to anything real. Brandon tells me about his sister who waited for some dude for 2 years before finally realizing he was never going to step up. I promise myself I won't be that person and I'll move on and stop checking my phone every 30 seconds. That promise lasts exactly 4 days before Tyler texts me out of nowhere at 11 p.m. on a Friday. "Hey, sorry, I've been MIA. Work has been crazy, but how have you been?" I respond immediately because I have no self-control, telling him about my classes and asking about his life. We text back and forth for an hour and it feels like those early days again, when conversation flowed naturally and effortlessly. He sends me another playlist titled "Sorry I'm Bad at Texting," and I listen to it on repeat trying to decode if this is his way of apologizing or just being friendly. Next day he ghosts again for a week. I'm starting to realize that this cycle of intense attention followed by complete absence is his pattern, and I'm stuck in it like a hamster on a wheel. 3 months have passed since our first hangout, and we haven't made concrete plans to see each other outside the coffee shop since that record store day. I've become the girl who waits by her phone hoping for a text from a guy who probably doesn't think about her more than once a week. My grades are slipping because I spend more time checking social media to see if he's posted anything than actually doing my coursework. Jessica stages an intervention one night, bringing wine and forcing me to talk about why I'm letting this guy have so much power over my emotional state. "You don't even know him that well," she says, pouring another glass. "You're in love with the idea of him, not the actual person." She's hitting too. Close to home, and I hate it, but she's absolutely right about everything. I've created this perfect version of Tyler in my head, based on limited interactions and filled in all the gaps with my own fantasies and projections. The real Tyler is probably just a normal guy who thinks I'm cool, but not cool enough to actually pursue. And that's okay, but my brain refuses to accept it. I decide to do an experiment where I don't text him at all for an entire month to see if he notices or reaches out on his own. 2 weeks into this experiment, he posts an Instagram story at some party, looking happy and unbothered while I'm home alone analyzing the 3 seconds of video for clues about his emotional state. He's tagged with some girl named Amber in multiple photos, and I spend an embarrassing amount of time scrolling through her profile looking for evidence they're dating. Can't find anything concrete, but the anxiety is eating me alive. So I text Jessica, screenshots asking for her detective analysis. "Why do you even care? Just block him and move on with your life," she responds, but it's not that simple when you've invested months of emotional energy into someone. The month passes, and Tyler never reaches out once, confirming what I already knew. Deep down that I was always more interested than he was. See him at the coffee shop after my self-imposed exile from texting, and he acts completely normal, like no time has passed at all. "Hey, stranger, long time no see," he says, with that same charming smile that got me into this mess. I'm polite but distant, taking his order and making his drink without the usual banter and conversation. He notices the shift, asking, "Everything okay? You seem different today?" Want to scream at him about how he's been stringing me along for months, giving me mixed signals and wasting my time, but instead I just say, yeah, just tired. He accepts this obvious lie and leaves with his coffee, probably not thinking about the interaction again for the rest of his life. I spend my entire shift replaying the conversation, wondering if I should have said something, or if my cold shoulder approach will make him realize what he's missing. Spoiler alert, it doesn't make him realize anything. 2 more weeks pass without any contact, and I'm finally starting to feel like maybe I'm moving on and healing from this weird situationship. Then he texts at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday. "You up?" I stare at the message for 20 minutes, debating whether to respond or leave him on read. My self-respect says ignore it, but my desperate heart that still remembers how good those first conversations felt says respond. I compromise by waiting until morning to reply, "Yeah, what's up?" He says he was just thinking about me and wondering how I've been and if I want to hang out sometime. The same sometime that never becomes an actual concrete plan with a real date and time attached to it. I'm so tired of this cycle that I actually call him out, asking, "Do you actually want to hang out, or are you just saying that?" He seems caught off guard by the direct question, taking 30 minutes to respond with, "No, I really do want to. We should figure out a day." We agree on Saturday afternoon to get lunch, and I'm cautiously optimistic that maybe this time will be different. Saturday morning he texts, "Hey, something came up. Can we rain check?" No explanation of what came up. No offer of when to reschedule, just a vague rain check that probably means never. This is my breaking point where I finally realize that Jessica and Brandon and everyone else has been right this entire time. I'm chasing someone who doesn't want to be caught, and I'm exhausting myself in the process for someone who gives me the bare minimum of attention. Text back, "Actually, I think we should just be coffee shop acquaintances. I don't think our communication styles match up." It's the most diplomatic way I can say you've been wasting my time and I deserve better than breadcrumb attention from someone who can't commit to basic plans. He responds with, "Oh, okay, I understand. Sorry if I gave you the wrong impression. I just have a lot going on right now." The classic excuse that every emotionally unavailable person uses when they want to avoid taking responsibility for their actions. I don't respond because there's nothing left to say, and I finally feel the weight of months of anxiety and waiting lift off my shoulders. My roommate Jessica comes home that night and finds me watching reality TV in my pajamas eating ice cream directly from the container. "Did something happen?" she asks, sitting next to me. I finally told Tyler I'm done waiting around for him to decide if he wants to actually spend time with me or just keep me as a backup option. She hugs me, saying, "I am proud of you that takes guts to walk away from something you wanted, even when you know it's not good for you." Spend the next few weeks focusing on my actual life instead of obsessing over text response times and hidden meanings in casual conversations. My grades improve because I'm actually doing my assignments instead of daydreaming about a future that was never going to happen. Start going out with Jessica and her friends, meeting new people who show consistent interest instead of playing mind games. See Tyler at the coffee shop a few times, and it's awkward at first. But eventually we settle into a rhythm of polite hellos and basic coffee transaction interactions. He never apologizes or acknowledges that his behavior was shitty, but I don't need him to because I've made peace with the situation on my own. One day, a new regular starts coming in every morning, ordering an Americano with an extra shot and actually holding conversations that don't feel like pulling teeth. His name is Derek, and he's a grad student studying architecture, and when he asks for my number, he actually follows through with making plans. We go on a real date with a confirmed time and location, and he shows up on time and pays attention when I talk instead of checking his phone every 5 minutes. It's refreshing to interact with someone who matches my energy and doesn't make me question whether they actually want to spend time with me. Jessica meets Derek and gives her approval, saying this is what it's supposed to look like when someone is actually interested in you. I realized looking back on the Tyler situation that I was so focused on trying to make him like me that I forgot to ask myself if I even really liked him beyond the initial attraction. The truth is, I fell in love with potential and with the fantasy of what we could be rather than the reality of what we actually were, which was basically nothing. Those late-night conversations that felt so deep and meaningful were probably just him being bored and wanting attention, not him developing real feelings. The waiting taught me that if someone wants to be in your life, they'll make the effort, and you shouldn't have to convince anyone to choose you. Months later, I run into Tyler at a concert, and he tries to make small talk, asking about my life. I'm polite but brief, mentioning I'm seeing someone and focusing on school and work. He seems surprised, like he expected me to still be available, and waiting around for him to finally decide I was worth his time. "That's cool, I'm happy for you," he says. but there's something in his expression that looks almost like regret. Too little too late, buddy. I'm not interested in being someone's afterthought or backup plan anymore. Walk away from that conversation feeling completely at peace with how everything turned out. The waiting sucked and wasted months of my life that I could have spent on literally anything else more productive. But it taught me valuable lessons about self-respect and knowing my worth and not settling for people who can't meet me halfway. Sometimes the best thing someone can do for you is show you exactly who they are through their actions, so you can stop making excuses for them. Derek texts me after the concert asking how it was and making plans to try this new restaurant next weekend that just opened downtown. It's such a simple thing, but it means everything to be with someone who doesn't make me guess where I stand or wonder if they're actually interested. Delete all my old text conversations with Tyler because I don't need to keep rereading them looking for signs I missed or explanations for his behavior. His behavior was simple, he just wasn't that into me, and no amount of analyzing or waiting was going to change that fundamental truth. My friend Brandon asks how I'm doing one day at work, and I tell him I'm genuinely happy for the first time in months. "You seem different, lighter somehow," he says, restocking the coffee beans. "Yeah, I stopped carrying around the weight of someone else's inability to communicate or commit," I reply. Life is too short to spend it waiting by the phone for someone who doesn't value your time or energy the way you deserve. The girl who waited for months for Tyler's text has learned her lesson and evolved into someone who knows better than to accept less than what she wants. Still work at the coffee shop and still see Tyler occasionally, but he's just another customer now, not some source of anxiety and confusion. He tried to follow me on a different social media platform recently, and I denied the request because that chapter is closed. Some people come into your life to teach you lessons about what you don't want, and Tyler was definitely one of those people. Grateful for the experience in a weird way because it shaped how I approach relationships and taught me red flags to watch out for. The biggest red flag being inconsistent communication and someone who keeps you in limbo, never quite committing, but never quite letting go either. Jessica and I laugh about the whole situation now. Like, how did I spend so many months agonizing over someone who clearly wasn't worth the mental energy? "You were down bad," she says, cackling. And she's absolutely right. I was embarrassingly down bad for someone who did the bare minimum. But we all have that person who teaches us hard lessons about self-worth and boundaries, and Tyler was mine. Working on myself now, focusing on my art and my classes, and building a life that doesn't revolve around whether some guy texts me back. It's liberating to wake up and not immediately check my phone hoping for a notification that would make or break my entire mood for the day. Derek is great, but I'm also making sure not to lose myself in this new relationship the way I lost myself waiting for Tyler. Maintaining friendships and hobbies and independence while also being open to something real with someone who actually shows up consistently. The waiting period taught me that actions speak louder than words, and pretty playlists don't mean anything if they're not backed up by actual effort. You can't build a relationship on sporadic attention and late-night texts when someone is bored or lonely. Real connection requires consistent presence and communication and mutual effort from both people involved. Tyler taught me what I don't want, and Derek is showing me what healthy interest actually looks like. Still have moments where I wonder what Tyler is doing or if he ever thinks about how things ended, but those moments are getting fewer and further between. Mostly I'm just relieved to be free from the constant anxiety of the wondering and waiting and overanalyzing every little interaction. Life is so much better when you're not in a constant state of emotional limbo, waiting for someone to decide if you're worth their time. The coffee shop got a new espresso machine, and I'm learning latte art, which is way more fulfilling than spending hours crafting the perfect casual text. My art portfolio is actually coming together now that I'm channeling my energy into productive, creative outlets instead of romantic anxiety. Jessica is proud of how much I've grown and changed since the Tyler situation, comparing old me to new me. "Old you would have taken him back the second he showed interest again," she observes correctly. "New me knows better and values herself too much to go backwards," I respond, feeling confident in that statement. Ran into Tyler's friend Marcus at a party recently, and he mentioned Tyler asked about me. Apparently Tyler has been single since we stopped talking, and Marcus heavily implied Tyler might regret how things went down. I feel nothing hearing this information, no satisfaction or vindication, just complete indifference. That's how I know I'm actually over it, because the idea of Tyler regretting his choices doesn't give me any emotional reaction whatsoever. Marcus asks if I'd be interested in giving Tyler another chance, and I laugh saying that ship has sailed and sunk and is at the bottom of the ocean. Feel empowered by my own growth and how far I've come from the girl who waited months for texts that barely came. The version of me from 6 months ago would have jumped at the chance to try again with Tyler despite all the evidence that it wouldn't work. Current me knows that people rarely change, and the patterns Tyler showed are who he fundamentally is as a person. Some people are just not capable of giving you what you need, no matter how much chemistry or connection you think you have. Tyler was emotionally unavailable, or just not that interested, or both, and neither of those things are problems I can solve by waiting around. Finishing up my associate degree and planning to transfer to a 4-year university next fall to continue my graphic design studies. Derek is supportive of my goals and doesn't make me feel like I have to choose between my ambitions and a relationship. That's another thing the Tyler situation taught me, that the right person will support your growth, not make you feel anxious and small. Sometimes I see girls at the coffee shop exhibiting the same behaviors I had, checking their phones, constantly looking disappointed when there's no notification. Want to shake them and tell them that no guy is worth that level of anxiety, and if he wanted to text you, he would. But everyone has to learn those lessons on their own terms at their own pace through their own painful waiting experiences. Just hope they figure it out faster than I did and don't waste as many months on someone who doesn't deserve that energy. The waiting changed me in ways both good and bad, but ultimately, I'm grateful for becoming someone who knows her worth. Tyler is somewhere out there, probably doing the same thing to some other girl who thinks she's special until she realizes she's just another option. I'm somewhere better living my actual life with people who show up consistently and don't make me question where I stand. That feeling when you finally stop waiting for someone who is never going to show up anyway, and you realize you're better off.